All right, what's up? Gonna be doing a enemy tier list today. This is not really based on, how dangerous they are and how difficult they are to deal with in game. This is honestly just based on, who I think is more annoying, and personal reasons on why. So to start off, you got the IQT enemies here. Regular IQT enemy, honestly, really not that annoying. I didn't really run into that many issues with farming IQT, getting into IQT, because I did just start after I got all the mythics there. So I think honestly, based on, how annoying this enemy is, honestly, D tier. Really not that annoying at all. Um, Same sort of situation as whoever this is. I think the priest, yeah. Again, not really any issues. I think that most of the IQT enemies for me are really not that annoying at all. But we'll see how this changes. This is the ice priest here. This guy gives invuln to enemies, but again, not that much of an issue. Slowed down farming a little, but overall not too annoying because Zeus pretty much insta deletes them anyway. So I think C tier just a little bit more annoying than the other two enemies here that you do have access to in IQT. Anyways, yeah, this wolf over here, I think he's from Masters Challenge. None of the Masters Challenge enemies, like, I've honestly never really seen them because every time I do Masters Challenge, like, these guys all get one shot. So all the Masters Challenge enemies here, like, F tier for how annoying they are. They just aren't annoying at all. They get insta-killed. They don't really break your rocks that much. Being that they are, Masters Challenge, of course, the challenge is not very fun itself, but the enemies are just really not annoying. This is the regular minion in KPR, I believe. Again, similar sort of situation as the IQT enemies. D tier, not that annoying. This is a duck from KPR. I believe he has a different resistance than the other enemies. I think he, yeah, I think he has ice element. I'm not sure, but, that is, honestly, I feel not really annoying. I think it doesn't really make the levels that much difficult considering how broken Amaterasu is for the other enemies. I think it's pretty balanced overall, but he is a rock breaker. It does make the levels more difficult. Somewhat annoying, C tier. Okay, this is the first spirit, I believe. These guys are super annoying. Again, immune to a bunch of attacks. I believe they electrocute monsters, I think. Yeah, this is the KPR one, but these guys are pretty annoying, but again, not that much of an issue. They get one shot anyways most of the time. Electric Rat, same sort of situation, D tier. This rock breaker here. So I believe this is the only IQT rock breaker. Yeah. This guy actually ends runs a few times. Because if you don't get good RNG on the rock breaker spawns, it can mess up your runs. It can lose you a few waves. It can cost you some farming efficiency. And so overall, again, kind of annoying, but not that much an issue that it would go in S or A tier along with other enemies, just because he can interfere with the farming. Doesn't interfere with farming too much, specifically, for some farming setups that get to wave 22. If you get better spawn RNG on this guy, you can get to wave 24. But other than that, not really much of a disturbance. Wolf, again, goes here. Not really that annoying. Ice Spirit, I would say, goes in A tier. Mainly just because of, how powerful the ice spirits are, and there's really no good solution to it other than raw, right? That's why raw is required for IQT. And I think, it's a really huge roadblock, and I lost a lot of time that I could have used to farm IQT there just because I needed raw only to deal with these guys, right? These guys can pretty much freeze your entire team if left unchecked and make the challenge impossible without raw. So, I think these guys are actually super annoying, slow down progression a lot, massive roadblock, and make farming a lot more difficult. Okay, regular grunt unit over here. Rockbreaker unit, not much of an issue. I feel like all the Volcano Goddess units really aren't that, they really aren't that annoying just because I think they don't really serve to be, that high of HP considering that there's so many good ice damage monsters out there. Overall, not much of a nuisance, especially with this spirit here. This spirit's actually, I'd say, the least annoying spirit overall, just because he doesn't CC the, yeah, it doesn't CC the monsters. It only attacks the rocks, and you can just use rock resummons or Susanoo anyway. So D tier, not that annoying. What's this guy? Fire Reindeer? I don't know. Again, not much of an issue. I've really never really ran into issues with Volcano Goddess. It's been the easiest challenge overall. I've actually, enjoyed playing it. None of the enemies are really so annoying. Do I have a better setup than anything you've ever thought of? Okay. Sorry, I was reading chat there. Yeah, I am doing this on stream if you're wondering. So, come join, come join. Okay, we're on to some classic enemies here. I honestly feel like I'm more annoyed by these enemies than elemental challenge enemies because I do so many viewer challenges in JR Nightmare, and some of these enemies are actually a massive nuisance. So this Cyclops here, just a standard rock breaker. I think not that much of an issue overall, just because there are more important rock breakers or stun enemies. So I'd say for now, goes in C tier. Maybe even a D tier, because you know, there's just better rock breakers. Same situation with these grunts again. D tier, D tier. Wolf goes in D tier. Regular minion goes in D tier. Regular rock breaker goes in D tier. Upgraded minion, D tier. D tier, D tier. Yeah, the thing with all of these guys is just that they're super weak for enemies, to put it blankly, right? Not really that much of an issue for breaking rocks or for buffs. They don't really have any sort of special ability, and they're overall just, you know, not that much of a nuisance. They honestly are just only strong when supported by other more dangerous enemies, and even then they're like the least of my worries. This Paladin goes here as well. This enemy specifically, right? He sort of fits into the category as these other units in the D tier. However, you know, on a certain wave 9 in JR Nightmare, I always run into issues with these guys slipping past because of other stuns. And so, you know, I personally dislike them very much because they can end runs on wave 9 when comboed with other more important enemies, but just slightly more annoying than these D tier enemies from my personal experiences with viewer challenges. So it goes in C tier for me. Okay, back to evil summoner enemies, all F tier because they all get one shot and are literally never seen on my screen. You got another sort of standard rock breaker here. I'm actually gonna check what his ability does real quick. Actually, I'm not super sure. I'm not sure if he's just a regular standard rock breaker or he has some sort of extra ability. But you know, it seems that he's just a standard rock breaker. So he goes in D tier for me. Again, not that much of an issue. I haven't really seen him that much in my runs either. Same sort of situation. This wolf here. This enemy, this rock breaker is also not really an issue. I've honestly never seen this guy ever. Yeah, I think this is a classic level enemy, but I'm honestly just gonna put him in F tier with the evil summoner units because I really didn't even know that he existed. He's honestly just that much, yeah, that horrible of an enemy that he gets, you know, one shot deleted every single time. Even with the awful challenge setups I'm running. So yeah, it goes in F tier for me, but probably is a Master's Challenge enemy, to be honest. Yeah, elemental golems go here. Oh yeah, these are the evil summoner enemies. Yeah, none of them have really been much of an issue for me. Yeah, overall, farming evil summoner has not really been that much of a hassle. Especially because these enemies don't really have any special sort of ability, even though they do have an element attached to them. These enemies just, yeah, they're just there, and they get one shot anyways. Okay, Dark Mage. This is first of the boss enemies we're gonna start raiding here. I would say the attack speed slow is among the least of my worries when facing enemy bosses, especially because he gets one shot before he can cast most of the time. You know, even when comboed with other bosses, he's really the least of my worries and really not even something to worry about at all. So I'd say D tier. Very situationally can be an issue, but most of the time not really going to be an issue at all here. Let me just yeah, wait, okay, there we go. Sorry about that. What were we talking about? Yeah, this Dark Mage here, not really much of an issue even when combo with other enemies, and not that significant of an enemy to be annoying. Okay, this is the Healing Mage. Healing Mage comboed with some enemies can be an issue, you know, stuns. Especially when he does pop out at the end there and does heal an enemy that was getting chipped down by backline units. You know, very few occasions he's ended my runs because an enemy does get to the back row, almost dead from the chip damage of the back row, but then they get healed to full by this mage again, which ends my runs. But that's a pretty rare occasion. But he can be, you know, more annoying in more situations than the other mage here. So I'd say C tier works, because he is sometimes dangerous more often when combined with especially again enemies that do make it to the back line and need to get chipped down. Okay, you got the King here. King here is just a speed boost, and the defense boost I haven't really seen to be that significant at all. Again, the speed boost is only really strong when comboed with other bosses or in very situational occurrences when enemies do make it past your front or mid line. So I'd say another C tier. Yeah, not that big of an issue as a unit. can sometimes be problematic though. All right, next up, Wolf Rider. Wolf Rider specifically, I think, is kind of annoying, I guess. He's ended some of my runs on Wave 10 GR Nightmare when I don't pay attention. So honestly, the only issue with Wolf Rider here is that he makes me pay attention more to the game to sometimes use a deep freeze. But honestly, other than that, never really that much an issue that I have to spend like 10,000 gems doing rock summons for to stop him or his speed boost. So yeah, not that much of an issue. C tier, situationally dangerous. The Master from Master's Challenge. He's a pretty cool guy, honestly. I wouldn't count him as an enemy. He's just a pretty cool guy. Goes in F tier. All right, Ice Queen. I know a lot of people really dislike Ice Queen. They would put Ice Queen possibly even in the S tier in terms of being, dangerous or annoying. But I think, honestly, the Ice Queen is not that much of an issue, especially because most of the times where runs do stop in IQT at the moment are before the IQT even starts spamming her ability after she does release on wave 30, which I'm pretty sure no one's ever gotten to in hard mode. So really just not that much of an issue as an enemy. I think people really overrate her and they really overrate her strength. She's really weak especially when you have raw and you're understanding your raw placement. So I'd say, Ice Queen goes in, yeah, C tier, or actually I think Ice Queen should actually go in A tier or B tier actually. When you are thinking about, why raw is necessary for IQT, first thought is Ice Spirits, second thought is Ice Queen, but the Ice Spirits are still way more annoying than Ice Queen, considering that you need raw to get past the Ice Spirits in the first place. Okay, next up, Volcano Goddess. Honestly, Volcano Goddess is pretty chill. Never really ran into issues with her ability. Yeah, really just not that much of a nuisance. Again, Volcano Goddess is actually super easy to farm if you do have the units for it. And honestly, you could complete it with just Jiraiya Wednesday double buffs, right? Yeah, that challenge is probably the least difficult one out of the current elementals available. So I'd say Volcano Goddess goes in D tier. I've never really found her ability or her to be really annoying at all. Okay, next up, the two KPR gods. These guys I've honestly not really seen at all. KPR farming has not really been that much of a hassle for me. I don't really do it that much anyways, considering the challenge doesn't really give any, actual rewards. But I'd say, possibly D tier. I really forgot like which one did which. I think the one that electrocutes units. I feel like the one that gives speed boost is a little bit more annoying. So, how about this? I'm going to check their stats right now, actually. Yeah, this one, the speed boost one, I'd say goes in C tier. Kind of annoying sometimes. He can get enemies to rush past your setup, which can be kind of bad sometimes. Again, not that much of an issue overall, whereas the stunning one, your damage is in the backline anyway. Not that big of a deal if some monsters in the front get stunned. Next up, Knight. Very insignificant enemy. Really not that much of a hassle to deal with, and sort of a plain speed boost comparable to the King, but I'd say a little bit more annoying than than these enemies here. So goes in C tier with the King. I'd say they're pretty much the same, honestly. Regular Mage. Okay, Regular Mage I kind of dislike. Regular Mage can sometimes stun one unit challenge. Yeah, one unit challenges that I'm trying to do can be pretty problematic. Overall, a little bit more dangerous because a Regular Mage does provide a stun. So I'd say B tier in terms of how annoying it has been in my classic level setup challenge runs. All right, next up, Dark Knight. Yeah, Dark Knight goes in the same category as the King and the Regular Knight. Really just, speed boost, not too dangerous on his own, but can be a little bit more dangerous when comboed with stuns that will go in tiers above. All right, Evil Summoner. I find Evil Summoner to be super annoying because of the mechanic where she does remove units, and that results in people having to upgrade most of their monsters to be able to farm Evil Summoner very efficiently. So I'd say Evil Summoner pretty much is super annoying just because it does serve as a massive roadblock for gold upgrades in the game, but I guess it does help with progression a little. But she was pretty annoying when I was attempting to progress in the game. So I'd say A tier overall. Okay, this little treasure goblin here. Yeah, not much of an issue at all. F tier. It doesn't really matter if you don't kill him anyways. He doesn't really end your runs at all. Goblin Shaman here, I'd say is I've never actually seen his ability get used. I don't really know what his abilities or totems do either. So I'd honestly go with maybe even an F tier, or a D tier, I guess. Yeah, I've never really seen his ability in action. He's honestly just been a higher health enemy that I would need to worry about. D tier overall, not much of an issue. Okay, this Bruiser guy here is super annoying. He provides 2 stuns, breaks rocks, and it's really annoying in any sort of challenge setup, or even, you know, playing the game regularly. I ran into a lot of issues with them. I would say, you know, not exactly S tier yet. There are more annoying enemies out there, but I'd say a solid A tier, just because he is a very dangerous stun overall. Very dangerous to rocks and your overall setup structure, and very dangerous in terms of ending your challenge runs, or ending my challenge runs. This is, you know, my tier list based on personal opinion. Okay, next up, this other shaman here. Not much of an issue at all. All he does is provide extra enemies to kill, which, you know, they usually get killed anyways. Doesn't have that much HP himself, not that fast, doesn't really buff enemies. Yeah, D tier overall. Okay, this rock breaker here. So this guy, of course, breaks rocks, has a decent amount of HP, but I think a little less known mechanic about him is that he can stun your monsters when he does target a rock. So personally, he has been super annoying, especially with the quantities that these guys are summoned in. Ends a lot of my challenge runs on JR Nightmare Wave 9, especially comboed with an enemy I'll get to in 1 second. But I'd say overall S tier, super annoying. You know, ends your runs in hordes. Maybe on its own, not that annoying. I'd say maybe A tier. Honestly, just annoying because of quantity, and annoying because of the permastun achievable with that quantity. Okay, next up, Ragefist Shaman. By far the most annoying enemy in the game. There is no competition for this. Ice Spirit, no competition. Ice Queen, no competition. This guy is the most annoying enemy, alright? He makes entire waves of enemies completely invulnerable. He combos very well with the enemy speed buffs, enemy stuns. He's pretty much what enables enemy bosses and enemies in general to be dangerous in any sort of run, any part of the game. And especially when you have that early game setup, you know, you're one-shotting everything. All of a sudden, Ragefist Shaman pops out, makes everything invulnerable, and now it doesn't matter that you're one-shotting anything. Now it only matters that they have a buff on them that is causing you to lose the wave or lose the map entirely. So yeah, most annoying enemy by far. I could really talk for like 10 minutes about how much I hate Ragefist Shaman, but you know, I think I need to get on to the next enemy here, being the Ragefist Chieftain, which again really just serves as a speed boost, similar to the Night King and Dark Knight. Not that much of a nuisance, and only works when comboed with this awful boss enemy. All right, this golem here, not much of an issue. I'd say D tier maybe. I've never really ran into a problem with having evil summoner setups kill him, but you know, I guess D tier here. A little bit more annoying than these regular golems, because you do need to have an even higher level to be able to allow your evil summoner monsters to one-shot this guy. This golem here, I would say personally pretty annoying, because he does prolong those evil summoner runs by a lot. You need to wait for him to walk completely to the chest, and then you can finally finish your evil summoner run. Stuns only make this worse, and yeah, slows down farming by quite a bit, and kind of a pain to play against. But I think that's just part of evil summoner in the first place, and you know, I guess goes in A tier. Just a part of evil summoner that is here to stay. But I guess I do like the mechanic of being able to compete for global damage leaderboards, but that damage is capped out at a certain point anyways. So yeah, goes in A tier. I think has potential to be improved with the global damage leaderboards. And it's kind of just a mechanic of evil summoner that is here to stay. But it's still, you know, pretty annoying overall, because it does make the runs last a lot longer than they would be without him. Okay, next up, the three treasure gnomes here. Again, same sort of situations as the goblins. You know, even if you don't kill them, it doesn't matter. They'll just run, and you can continue your run anyways. Not that much of an issue. However, I guess sometimes they can make your monsters retarget stuff. Specifically for challenge runs, sometimes a gnome pops out, causing my monsters to retarget the enemy and end up losing a challenge because of the gnome. But that happens like so infrequently. Like honestly, the chances of like a regular foot soldier slipping past my setup and ending the run by himself is, you know, higher than a gnome ending the run anyway. So yeah, I guess this is like sort of a rough draft of a monster tier list, or sorry, an enemy tier list here. You know, some things I would consider changing, definitely moving up the Ice Spirit to A tier. Sorry, S tier, just because, yeah, no, really annoying to have to get Raw to be able to play the challenge. And something else I'd move up to A tier, probably be, you know, actually, yeah, I don't think I'd move up anything else to A tier. I think this is a pretty good list for now. I think this encompasses, you know, how I feel about the enemies in terms of how annoying they are. Definitely all based on personal opinion, personal experiences, right? The way I played the game, I only really attempted the elemental challenges at all after I had all the mythics to do them. So of course, you know, stuff like Volcano Goddess and KPR Gods, probably not much of an issue to me as they were to other people. But, you know, this tier list is just really based on personal experience anyways. I'm sure there are not too many people doing stupid viewer challenges in JR Nightmare and, you know, trying to get past the awful wave 9 filled with these rock breakers and Ragefish Shaman here. But yeah, this is gonna be a enemy tier list for my personal experience in the game. Like, subscribe, and yeah, see ya.